Parish family, this is Father Panteleimon. I am in my car, but I am not driving. I'm stuck somewhere and I had a minute, and I thought I would offer a little reflection for, I guess, the 8th day of Great and Holy Lent 2026. My last reflection was on fasting, and I wanted to continue that because I think there's a lot to be said about it. I think it's important, and I think it's good for us to be literate on why we fast. So what I want to talk about today actually is sort of a early biblical understanding of fasting, and just a brief observation, really. What I wanted to say, so the Orthodox Church, as we know, the normative practice is to abstain when we fast from meat, animal products, oil, and wine. And sometimes people kind of ask, like, why those things, and there's a number of reasons, but today I just want to talk about one reason why we abstain from those things. And the reason, at least according to my reading and my understanding, is that part of the reason we fast from those things is that Adam and Eve, actually, it seems, so if you read the scriptures, in Genesis 1, 2, and 3, which is the creation story and the fall, 1 and 2 are creation, 3 is the fall, God literally never mentions eating anything but the herbs and the plants. He never once, and actually later he does explicitly mention it, which I'll get to in a second. So it seems that Adam and Eve were at least vegetarian and maybe vegan, right? So they didn't eat animals or animal products, so the reason I say that is because I think part of the reason the church prescribes what it does, and actually, like, if you're a monastic, you never eat meat. That's one of the vows you take. And I think part of the reason we do that is to sort of transport ourselves, at least in terms of our eating, back to the Garden of Eden, right? Because that was where we were supposed to be, and where we were supposed to stay, right? But because of Adam and Eve's disobedience, we lost that. And so part of the reason we don't eat meat and animal products, I would say, among other reasons, but one of them, is that we are endeavoring to return to the Garden of Eden, right? And that's how Adam and Eve ate in the Garden of Eden. At least that's what it appears in the scripture. And I'll add a little final point to that. It's noteworthy that it isn't until after the flood, I think it's Genesis chapter 9, there's never, up until Genesis chapter 9, there's never a mention of God blessing man to eat meat or anything from an animal. But in Genesis chapter 9, so the flood is done, the land, the water has abated, Noah gets out, he builds an altar to God, and the only people left are Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 wives. And it is at that time, right after the flood abates, that God says that he gives all of the animals as food for man. Which part of me also would say, why would he say that if prior to that time he had given man a blessing to eat meat? He also notes with Noah that he would create enmity, meaning sort of the birds would fly away and the animals, we wouldn't get along, basically. That there would be an enmity now between man and the animals, right? So it seems like after the flood, the relationship between man and animals changed. At least that's what we can infer. And it seems pretty clear that it wasn't until after the flood that man was given a blessing by God to eat animals and animal products. So going back to my opening point, I think part of the reason we fast, as we do in the Orthodox Church, is because we are trying to return to the Garden of Eden, right? So the reason we fast the way we do is because we want to get back into paradise, and part of the way we do that is by emulating the way Adam and Eve lived before the fall. So that's my reflection for today. I hope your Lent is going well and is bearing fruit spiritually for you, and hope to see you soon.